Who could have imagined it? Possessing pure British blood and racing talent, Jaguar F-Type, Vlad won the auction for $18,000. The car had driven about 17,000 miles. Many friends knew that when it first appeared. Its price could have reached nearly $100,000. Before the auction, Vlad carefully inspected the condition of the car. The interior was found to remain intact. The airbags had not deployed. This greatly reduced the burden of repair work. Because there was no need to dismantle the interior. It also saved many inspection procedures. He was quite satisfied with the bid. He believed that with the support of technology, it would be possible. Its value would rise to $50,000 after restoration. The damage to the vehicle was mainly concentrated at the front. There did not appear to be any major issues. The headlights were missing. Besides the left and right fenders, the hood and front bumper needed repair. There was no need to deal with the doors or rear section of the car. For a car in this condition, Vlad was extremely satisfied. The immediate priority was unloading the car, then moving it to the garage. The Jaguar could still start normally. This indicated that the engine might not have suffered serious damage. I'm not sure whether the radiator was leaking. Without coolant, the car could still start for a short time. However, it should not run for too long. Driving it off the trailer and covering the short distance to the garage would not cause serious damage to the engine. Afterward, the car would undergo preliminary disassembly. The extent of the damage was identified. The entire front end needed to be removed. The bumper was taken off. Even the small Jaguar emblem on the car logo was in danger, barely hanging on. However, this car emblem also had collectible value. Although the front energy absorber might have been severely bent, the frame rails remained in fairly good condition, only slightly deformed. To repair the left and right frame rails, Vlad decided to remove all the front cooling components first. Then the frame rails were pulled and repositioned. He dismantled everything and inspected one side. Overall, the cooling performance was not ideal. Only a small amount of coolant remained inside. Most of it had already leaked out, although it looked fine on the outside. Vlad suspected the issue might lie elsewhere. Even the electric fan appeared intact. However, further investigation was still necessary because the collision occurred on the right side. The car suddenly shifted left. Therefore, during major adjustments, it needed to be pulled right. The extent of the damage had now mostly been determined. To save money, he considered finding another car. The same model with accident damage could be used as a donor vehicle. With greater cost savings, profits would naturally increase significantly. However, the Jaguar we found was the 3.0-liter engine version. It did not fully meet his needs. At first, I found the front fascia online. However, the seller was offering the complete front headlight assembly. The price could reach as high as $9,600. He felt that price was not worth it for used car parts. So, he began searching online again. The search lasted nearly 2 months. A pair of headlights cost $1,500, relatively cost-effective. In addition, I also found a dealer quote for the bumper. The selling price was close to $2,700. Needless to say, it was definitely expensive because many parts were needed. He made a list. If everything were purchased from the dealer, it would cost over $20,000. Therefore, he decided to continue waiting. Finally, one day, a 2015 model was found. A Jaguar from the same year. Even more coincidentally, this car had previously survived a fire. The entire interior had been burned out, but the front section still looked intact. This car seemed tailor-made for him because he needed all those parts, including the entire front end and the whole cooling system. Vlad joined the auction without hesitation. The starting bid was only $2,300. However, the bidding process was extremely intense. Every time he felt he was about to succeed, the price would rise again. In the end, Vlad won with a bid of $5,300. Load the car up, including all additional fees. The total cost came to $5,993. Although the price was slightly higher than expected, it was undeniably a worthwhile deal. He knew that once these parts were installed on his car, their value would multiply. Just the cooling system alone, the front bumper and headlights, as well as the exhaust, the four wheels and front-mounted engine, and other spare parts available, could all be removed and sold. None of Vlad's moves were guaranteed to be unprofitable. Even the taillights of this car were quite attractive. His 2 months of waiting were completely worth it. As you can see, the doors and outer reinforcement structures were all intact. What pleased him most was that the car was the same color as his own. For people who are not overly picky about paint color, they might even think repainting was unnecessary. However, the interior suffered severe damage. The entire cabin had almost completely burned out. For a vehicle like this, it could basically only be considered scrap, but its engine could still be sold for dismantling purposes. The hood had been torn apart in the middle. Most likely firefighters were trying to extinguish the blaze quickly. Rescue cutting tools were used directly. Due to the emergency situation, there was no time to open it carefully. From this perspective, the engine did not appear to have been affected by the fire. However, Vlad still needed to inspect it carefully. It had to be confirmed whether the hood removal process damaged the left headlight. In addition, although the front bumper here had been cut, fortunately, the damage could be repaired. By comparison, the rear bumper could not be repaired because the paint surface had many burn marks. Vlad planned to drive the car home first, then dismantle it. After parking the car, disassembly work began. The main goal was removing the necessary parts, such as the front bumper and complete cooling system. The system would determine whether the two headlights could still be used. If they truly could not be used, new covers would be purchased to replace them. Because the internal components of the headlights remained intact, Vlad carefully inspected the engine. It was confirmed to be undamaged. No coolant leaks were detected. Next, they continued dismantling the front bumper. This was one of the parts he needed most. Previously, dealers had quoted prices up to $2,700. Wasn't that practically daylight robbery? So far, all removed parts were still in good condition. They could continue to be used without any damage. The entire cooling system could easily be removed. Here were the support frames and several air ducts. The two vertical structures at the front of the car, the energy absorption beam boxes, were extremely important. His car's units had been deformed in the collision. These two parts were supposed to be very expensive. At dealerships, cheap ones were difficult to find. The more he looked at the car, the more he liked it. It felt like he had just gained another fortune. Because all the salvaged parts felt practically free. As long as he sold those spare parts, he could completely recover the costs or even make a profit. All the necessary parts had now been removed. Next came the assembly process.